From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. The clerk will call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Thank you. Supervisor Perez.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, January 5th, 9 a.m. meeting of the Board of Supervisors. We will begin today's meeting with the flag salute led by Supervisor Maggard. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Please rise, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to call on Nick Cullen, Director of the Animal Services Department, to come in and introduce our Pet of the Week.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nick. Who do we got here today?
I have with me this morning Fletcher.
Fletcher. How old's Fletcher?
Fletcher's about a 4-year-old long-haired Chihuahua mix. He's a scruffy-looking guy. He's been at the shelter just for a couple of days now. He's about 12 pounds, not going to get much bigger than he is right now. He's a little scared this morning, but I'm grateful that our Chief County Counsel calmed him down. And he's going to make somebody an awesome family pet. He's available for adoption right
He's
now.
a friendly little guy.
Yeah, he is.
Awesome. Well, I sure appreciate you bringing him down, and hopefully we can get him a home found here this week.
I will report back when he does.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Nick.
The County of Kern has provided notice that as a result of the declared federal, state, and local emergencies due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and in light of the governor's orders, this Board of Supervisors meeting is not physically open to the public. Testimony and general public comment are accepted via email or voice message to the clerk of the board prior to today's meeting, and live comments via teleconference will be heard during this meeting. We'll begin by considering the consent agenda. All items listed with CA above the item are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the public wishes to comment or ask questions regarding any item of the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. A member of the board may remove an item from the consent agenda and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. A member of the public may also comment on any closed session item. At this time, I will read the consent agenda item numbers. That is items 2 through 5 on page 2, 8 through 11 on page 3, 12 through 14 on page 4, 15 through 22 on page 5, 23 through 29 on page 6, and items 30 through 35 on page 7. Madam Clerk, is there anybody wishing to make a comment on consent agenda items?
No, Mr. Chairman, we have no public comment concerning any consent agenda items.
Okay, are there any board members wishing to comment?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I will abstain from the consent calendar agenda item 27 due to a source of income to my spouse. I will vote on the rest of the consent calendar, but Madam Clerk, please record my abstention on item number 27. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Madam Clerk, would you call a roll call vote?
Supervisor Peters,
Aye.
Supervisor Scribner,
Aye.
Supervisor Maggard, Supervisor Couch,
Aye.
Supervisor Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, the board will now consider item number 1 under resolutions and proclamations. Before we do so, is there any public comment on this item?
No, Mr. Chairman, we have no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Okay, can we, the resolution honoring 5th District Supervisor Leticia Perez for her numerous accomplishments as 2020 Chair of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Oh, roll call vote?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
thanks.
sir. That's fine. Supervisor Peters.
Aye.
Supervisor Scribner.
Aye.
Supervisor Maggard.
Aye.
Supervisor Couch.
Yes.
And Supervisor Perez.
Yes.
Okay, well, in light of the fact that we're not meeting in person, I'll go ahead and read the resolution in its entirety. Whereas in 2020, Supervisor Leticia Perez served as the chair of the board, during which the county worked with a coalition of San Joaquin Valley counties to actively engage Governor Newsom on policies vital to the economic well-being of the county, such as Williamson Act subventions addressing surface water availability for local farmers through the repair of the Bryant-Kern Canal, and supporting a request for state funds to provide low or no interest loans to install and upgrade water and wastewater infrastructure in a small, economically disadvantaged rural communities, and collaborated with a diverse alliance of community stakeholders and the local Complete Count Committee to educate, motivate, and empower people in our hard-to-count communities to participate in the 2020 census, and conducted the oil and gas hearing that boasted a record number of attendees, whereby hours of testimony were presented from state agencies, industry, labor, environmental, and residents, drawing the attendance of the governor's senior leadership team. And the county entered into a settlement on behalf of the Kern County Sheriff's Office with the Attorney General's Office after a 4-year investigation into civil justice complaints, allowing the county and the Sheriff's Office to begin implementing changes over the next 5 years. And the M Street Low Barrier Navigation Center was opened, providing the county with a first-of-its-kind service to homeless residents needing an immediate place to go where they would not be turned away for traditional reasons, providing the first site in the county where people could get assistance, treatment, connect with resources, and have a safe place to rest, and lead key initiatives to proactively position the county to respond to the public health pandemic, such as funding additional nursing costs to increase ICU capacity, expanding community testing locations, and securing an alternative care site, and funded and launched programs to protect Kern's most vulnerable residents during the pandemic, including mortgage and rental assistance, isolation and support services for farm workers through the Housing to Harvest program, isolation and support services to the homeless population, and food aid and distribution to help decrease exposure of seniors done through strategic partnerships with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, CAPK, the Housing Authority of Kern County, and the City of Bakersfield, and provided $30 million in forgivable loans benefiting 937 small businesses throughout Kern County, and provided personal protective equipment at no cost to more than 1,900 small businesses, protecting over 46,000 workers, and delivered millions of face masks directly to county residents through a strategic partnership with CAPK, and in partnership with the City of Bakersfield, provided over $2.5 million of direct aid COVID grants to over 100 nonprofit entities serving Kern County residents. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, does hereby commend and thank Supervisor Leticia Perez for her leadership and support of the county as the chair of the board in 2020.
Chairman, thank you so much.
Supervisor.
I greatly appreciate. Great suit, by the way.
Thank you. Okay, the next item off consent we will consider is number 6, and that is public presentations. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public wishing to make a presentation at this time?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we did have one person signed up. Let me confirm that she is in the queue. Yes. We have Emma De La Rosa from Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. And she also submitted a letter via email, which you received last night. You have a hard copy of that document in front of you. So Ms. De La Rosa, if you will unmute your phone by pressing *6, you have 2 minutes to address the board.
Good morning, Kern County Board of Supervisors, and welcome, Chairman Perez. My name is Emma De La Rosa, and I'm a policy advocate with the Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. This comment is also associated with the letter that was sent last week. Okay, thank you so much for your time. On Wednesday, December 9th, 2020, in the case of Poder in Action versus the City of Phoenix, United States District Judge Dominic Lanza ruled that local governments cannot exclude immigrants without legal status from participating in CARES-funded programs such as the Utility Assistance and Rental Mortgage Assistance Program. So the City of Phoenix excluded undocumented individuals from those programs based on the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. The court ruled the aforementioned programs fall under Title 8 U.S. Code Section 1611A, exception as short-term, non-cash, in-kind emergency relief. This decision was due to the fact that relief was non-cash, given that participants did not receive cash, but rather funds were directly sent to landlords, mortgage companies, or utilities. In addition, CARES does not meet the definition for federal public benefits, as it is a one-time emergency response relief. As a federal court decision and a statute as Title 8 U.S. Code Section 1611A preempts state and local law, Kern County cannot continue to exclude undocumented individuals from the Utility Assistance and the Rental Mortgage Assistance Program. Accordingly, we respectfully urge the Board of Supervisors to require the respective agencies administering these programs to open eligibility to all Kern County residents by removing the immigration status question on the application and eliminating the requirement to provide a Social Security number. We also ask that new marketing be released to the public to ensure that our communities are informed of the eligibility modifications. In addition, we ask that new materials be shared with community-based organizations to provide support in sharing this information with community members. We respectfully request the board to discuss this matter during today's session and talk about next steps to ensure everyone in Kern County can apply and receive relief under these programs, regardless of immigration status. Moreover, in light of the latest economic relief bill and rental assistance appropriations, we welcome the opportunity to work with the county to structure a program that reaches those most in need given the new eligibility requirements. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from your office to discuss collaboration and next steps.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. De La Rosa. Our next item is number 7, board member announcements or reports. I'd like to begin by asking Matt Constantine, Director of Public Health Services, to provide a COVID-19 pandemic update.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
I just want to cover a few items. So our vaccination deployment is occurring rapidly. We have 80 providers locally that have signed up through a state system, and they've been approved to offer the vaccine here locally. So that's great. This, as we've talked about previously, this is not a public health department vaccination plan. It's a community vaccination plan, and we're going to rely on our community providers to assist us, especially as we start to broaden those that we can vaccinate as we follow the state schedule. As of today, we've received more than 26,000 doses of vaccine. That does not include Dignity and the Adventist hospitals, as they receive their own allotment directly from the state. So there's actually more than that. All of our all of our hospitals and their employees now have been vaccinated. We've accomplished that first primary objective because we want to make sure that they're healthy in case we get sick and we need to be cared for. We are actively working on our skilled nursing facilities as they are in that first phase that the state has identified. The state has contracted with Walgreens and CVS to vaccinate the skilled nursing facility employees and their residents directly. That's happening as we speak. There's been a few SNFs, skilled nursing facilities, that have already received the vaccine. There are others that are being scheduled over the next couple weeks. We also have finished or actually we're still going through our paramedics and EMTs. We've focused primarily on our local ambulance companies, and now we're working our way through our fire departments to ensure that they are also protected as they respond to potential COVID positive calls. And finally, in this first tier, we are working with our dialysis centers to ensure that they are actually protected. After that is completed, which we expect by the end of this week, that first tier, or tier 1 within phase 1A, this gets confusing, will be completed. That then allows us to move to the next tier, which includes all of our other healthcare workers, our clinics, our community healthcare, our in-home healthcare folks. So our focus will be on trying to get those individuals vaccinated. The original intent, of course, was to use our local hospitals to help vaccinate these next level of healthcare workers. We just believe that's not appropriate given their workload and the surge that we're seeing in cases. So we are developing alternative methods to ensure that they are able to get vaccinated, which will include relying on those 80 or so approved providers. And the county in particular is starting to develop our own vaccination plan where we will deploy and set up, we call them pods, point of dispensary clinics, likely at the fairgrounds, and likely have some that are mobile, targeting these very specific groups. We'll usually go through their employers so that we ensure that we reach that affected group in that tier 2. Following that, we get into tier 3, which we hope to achieve within January. This is dentist office, laboratory workers, optometry, outpatient, physical therapy, pharmacies, so other variety of healthcare workers. Will again still deploy that same similar approach to make sure we get to tier 3. Following that, we are getting into then phase 1B, which is persons that are 75 years or older and are frontline essential workers, which the state has defined as our first responders, education, food and ag, transit, grocery store workers, and a few others. So again, this broadens the scope. This will be a large number of individuals that we need to vaccinate. We believe setting up some large mass vaccination clinics, growing the fairgrounds would probably be a good alternative. We're going to still rely on our local providers, those 80 or so. We've developed a map that eventually will be put online where individuals can look online to see where their local providers are and that they can contact them directly. But then also we will set up our own county-sponsored vaccination clinics because we know that this demand will be increasing. Finally, in phase 1C, it's persons aged 65 to 74. Supervisor Scrivener wanted me to make sure that I say that Supervisor Maggard would qualify at that point. And other essential workers. So the intent would be then that this group would be a larger group, and we would use the same functions. We would scale it up. After phase 1C, the state has yet to further define, but that it would open up into a larger group. Our hope is that in the coming months, as this becomes more readily available, it provides protection for our community and hopefully slows the spread of this virus. The second thing I want to mention briefly is our hospital statistics. As of January 3rd, we have 620 available beds within our 10 acute care hospitals. 190 of those are staffable as defined by our hospitals. We have 25 ICU beds available today, or excuse me, as of the 3rd. It's important to note, though, that the state discounts those beds because we have a high number of COVID-positive patients in the hospital. The state is actually reporting that we have 0% availability. It's important for us to recognize, though, we don't. We have more than 8% of our beds available, 25 beds as it stands on the 3rd. We have 82 ICU COVID-positive patients in our hospitals and 375 COVID-positive that are hospitalized. And then finally on testing, we are, as you can understand, we are kind of pivoting slightly away from testing as we start to improve our vaccination clinics. But to bring you up to speed, there's been some changes that we've made to be responsive to the community. We have relocated our Arvin state-sponsored site, it's called OptumServe, into the fairgrounds. That started January 5th. We also have Sagebrush, the Kern Medical Sagebrush campus coming on, and Clinica. They have offered to do testing at 4 sites. That starts this week also. So our testing remains strong. It remains important, but we are pivoting a little bit to try to provide a better service, more efficient service at a larger scale. We expect that testing, although will remain important, that the state will ask us to start increasing our vaccination outreach, and we likely will see some change in the demand and in the supply of testing within the county. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my prepared comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Constantine. That great update. I know you guys definitely have your hands full, but appreciate all the work you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Are there any board members that would like to comment right now? I see Supervisor Maggard. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that, and congratulations on your chairmanship.
Thank you, sir.
You're doing great so far.
I appreciate it. Working on it.
Yeah. Be careful. One of our colleagues, they made a video of him and all the times he ever misspoke, and he had to listen to it over and over and over again. Not to make you nervous,
right?
But you'll be fine. Mr. Constantine, good morning, and thank you for your report to us. I am heartened by our ability to deal with the spike that we're experiencing, and I don't have a lot more to say to expand upon it because I think you did a thorough job. But I just want to assure the public that we are, even as we speak, we are exploring even more alternatives on how to find more staff to be able to staff these beds. The issue is not a bed or a ventilator or oxygen or PPE. The issue is nursing staff, and we are exploring even more options to be able to continue to supply those staff. So I just want to reiterate that point. And I also want to commend you and CAO Alsop, Supervisor Scrivener, and all the others that are involved in making sure that we are being very, very careful with the resources that we have to make sure that we can pay for these extraordinarily expensive but vital resources that we need to make sure people are taken care of. So I just want to reassure the public that we are endeavoring to do that as effectively as we can, and I'm grateful that we are in the position we're in, and to you staff for helping us get there. I know that Supervisor Scrivener has some other things to say about capacity and whatnot, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I did want to drill down just a little bit more on the hospital capacity issue. And so the threshold for the current lockdown is 15%. We're at 8%, but the state, once again, with an arbitrary penalty, says that we're at 0, but the County of Kern sits at 8%. Obviously, not ideal, but at this current point, manageable. And this is something that we talked about, I think, the last time we met, as far as the hospital's ability to surge, to staff up, et cetera. So can you speak a little bit more to that, their ability to manage when these volumes go up, and where they're feeling as far as their positioning currently?
Yes, sir. So it's important to recognize that our hospitals are busy. They are impacted. The only other time that we have to compare this to is what happened in July. And this, as the hospital CEOs will tell you, is it's more of an impact now than it was in July. So it is stressful. They are managing. They're managing well. They have put in resource requests to us for everything from staffing to masks, and they're trying their best to manage. They, as an employer, also have employees that are exposed and have to be at home and quarantine and have to wait that period. So they are very busy. However, collectively, we have beds available. You're going to see some of the hospitals put up their surge tents. You saw that they did that early on. They weren't needed, but they're now reevaluating the need for that because at times they're impacted. They'll also tell you that this time of the year, when we typically see increased rates of the flu and other respiratory diseases, they are very busy. And at times they're struggling to keep up. So this isn't too unusual. Our concern is how high will this peak go and how long will it go for? The state's database is struggling. I don't even have numbers to report you today. It was down yesterday, it's down today. So those aren't accurate numbers that I could present to you today, but they are high. We're in the thousands every day. But each hospital is required to have a surge plan, which would allow them to increase capacity by 40%. They're not into their surge plan yet. So they have some capacity. As Supervisor Maggart said, staffing is the issue. We're fighting against other counties and other states. We have repetitively increased the amount of money that we're willing to pay for some of those ICU nurses, and they also struggle. As we've talked many times, we also have the alternative care site, and it is, we've been looking at Fresno County. They hired a company to help staff the Fresno County ACS. They're operational. We're not in that position yet. We don't need it, but we've also made contact to ask if they would have resources available, and they've indicated they do. So we have some capacity, Supervisor Scrivener. We're going to watch it carefully. It depends where this goes, but as it stands today, we're managing.
And you're in communication with these hospital CEOs and CMOs constantly, correct?
Yes, sir, daily.
Good. So thank you so much for that. How are we comparing to other Valley counties? Do you have any idea? Because I know that we're in a region now with other Valley counties, but I'm curious. Are we seeing some big stressors on some of the other counties, and how might that impact us here?
Yes, sir. So in the Central Valley, we operate generally in the same pattern. Many other counties in that region that the state has put us into are not as well off as we are. And I would suggest that because of some of our planning in advance and forethought and response from the public, we find ourselves in a better position than they do. But we recognize we're not an island. We're not independent. And if you live in Delano, you might seek service in Tulare or Kings or Fresno County. We recognize, and same with the southern part of Kern, you might go to Los Angeles for assistance. So the state has grouped us into regions, and we're managed into regions. In our case, that's probably not to our benefit. It's to our detriment. So far, it hasn't been significant. The state, though, is this weekend, and it was supposed to be issued yesterday, is talking about a statewide order, health officer's order, that would cancel elective surgeries, and that would establish a interfacility transfer committee that we would chair locally here to help move patients between hospitals. Both of those actions are being taken because of what's happening in other regions, especially in Los Angeles, where hospitals don't communicate together and there's not a willingness to share and to move resources. And there's not a willingness to take some strong steps on the cancellation of elective surgeries. Here locally, our hospitals are doing that today. They, on a day-to-day basis, evaluate what they have, and they cancel surgeries when they need to. So they're ahead of the order. Now, they like the flexibility to say, today I'm good, we should allow some higher priority elective surgeries to go. And When we talk about elective surgeries, these are still surgeries that are very important. This isn't some inconsequential surgery that's needed. People are in pain, they're struggling, and they're needed. And it keeps the hospitals economically viable. It keeps them fully staffed, which is what we need. And finally, our hospitals now transfer patients around now. They do this amongst themselves. They're good at it. They don't need us to intervene. So it is some action that will probably be taken by the state. They told us it would be released yesterday. We know it'll gain attention. I don't think it'll have much impact with us locally. We'll have to comply, of course, but we're already doing it.
That's great. That's great to hear, and thank you for all the terrific information that you provided. Lastly, how are we doing on flu numbers? Are those still comparatively low this year?
Yeah, the flu numbers are low, and it's probably because we're all taking corrective actions now, right? Those actions that you're taking to prevent exposure to COVID work for other respiratory illnesses. So for the little bit of good that COVID may have brought to us, that's it. And it helps with other diseases as you wash your hands more and you're more conscious of people that are sick. So our flu numbers have not affected our healthcare system as it traditionally does in these winter months.
Thank you so much, Mr. Constantine. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. I see Supervisor Perez would like to speak.
Thank you. Hear me? Thank you so much. Matt, thank you for your update and Happy New Year to you. You look healthy, which is nice. When do we have our next major shipment of the vaccine?
Oh, it comes at a regular cadence. Just about every week, we get somewhere between 3,000 to 6,000 doses that comes into the county.
Okay, great. The mass distribution we hope to do at the fairgrounds, is that correct?
Right now, we're in our planning stages, but that seems like a good place for us to be. As you well know, with your help with our testing, it has lots of space. It's centrally located. It is Bakersfield based, so we're now exploring other ways to get to the more outlying areas. But right now, that is the plan.
It's a great plan that Mr. Olcott.
Your mic's not on, I don't think.
Not on? Okay, there we go. Mr. Olcott, the CEO of the fair, told me last week that they were preparing for hoping to do the vaccine rollout at the same location that we had our testing site. He says individuals are still arriving at that location asking for tests, which is wild to think about. But it's centrally located. I think it's on people's minds, so it makes sense to have it there. Yes. And he had indicated they were ready and eager, and he's been a great partner, as you know, and the fairgrounds has been.
Yes.
He also indicated he would like to do some food distribution as he sees such a profound need in the community. Perhaps we can coordinate some efforts there with the vaccine. But when do we have a sense about when we'll have some penetration on the vaccination, or is it just too early?
Well, no, we're actively working on it. I mean, we have, in theory, 920,000 people to vaccinate, countywide. So this is going to be one of our biggest endeavors.
Children also, Matt?
Yes, the current vaccine, depending on which one you have, has an age limit of 16 or 18, so it is limited. We don't believe children are as susceptible to it, but as it stands now, the 2 approved vaccines are limited in age. So this will dominate what public health does. We have actually pulled together significant numbers of individuals. We're creating teams. We're figuring out what is needed. It's a good way to ramp up because we're going to start with small, healthcare organizations. It's a good way for us to practice and then ramp way up. We've done this with H1N1. That's the only equivalent in recent history we have, where we did have mass vaccination clinics. This is a little different. We have other providers that can help us now. We didn't have that for H1N1. But there's other issues. After you get the shot, we have to observe you for 15 minutes to make sure you're okay. With the flu, we don't do that. There's a little bit more paperwork involved. So there's some logistics issues, but we're going to do it. We're going to get it out. We're not going to let any vaccine go unused. As soon as it comes in, we want it to go out. We're adamant about that. So we've got some work ahead of us, but we're going to do it.
What about the idea that we do one vaccine this go-round, given our distribution challenges, and work to do 2 maybe in the future, or never? I mean, how
Yes,
things
ma'am.
change.
Yes, ma'am. So, in fact, we're not holding any vaccine back. So our approach and what the state has recommended is we get it into people as soon as possible. If you then need your second dose, you come back and we vaccinate you again. The current approval requires 2 doses, so we can't truncate that. We need to do 2 doses. You probably have some protection, but it's that, you kind of prime your immune system with that first dose, and the second one's really needed to really give you that high protection level. So we're gonna, there's some complications because if you get one type of vaccine, you have to receive that the second time. We can't interchange. So there's some logistics issues, but we'll get through it.
Is there a way, Matt, for us to be more helpful in the operation at the fairgrounds? Do we need to engage outside people to help us? Do we need to stay out of your way? Where are we with that?
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Perez. The limiting factor, once again, is staff. We have plans, we have capacity, we have knowledge to do this, but all of that is tied up in our case investigations and contact tracers. We've reallocated them. So we're looking at hiring outside vaccinators to come in that are overseen by us. But as it stands now, we have no capacity to do that. So we're getting pretty creative on how we're going to actually vaccinate.
Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Couch, is there anything you wanted to add?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, are there any other board announcements or comments before we move along? Supervisor Perez?
I think Zach was getting
Oh, okay. Supervisor Scrivener?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Just a couple items here. Well, first of all, I wanted to just say to Supervisor Perez, thank you for a great year. This was unprecedented in a lot of different ways, but one of the ways that it was most unprecedented was the way in which we conduct our meetings. And so you had to adapt quickly, and with the help of our fantastic clerk and her staff, and of course CAO and County Council, you managed it very well. And so congratulations to you, and we appreciate it. And to Chairman Peters, congratulations and welcome, and we look forward to working with you this year and beyond. I want to thank you. I want to turn to a little bit of a sadder note. A lot of you may have heard that John Hefner passed away. He was the longtime principal of Fruitvale Junior High and was involved in a lot of different things. You're just such a marvelous person. One time, way back, this is of course before I started working in politics at all. I substitute taught for a few months there, and one of my assignments was Fruitvale. And I remember he came out and was asking me questions and basically, sizing me up as a sub if I was going to be good enough for his kids. And so fortunately, I think I made the cut because I did end up subbing for a few days there. But just that just goes to show, the interest that he took in his kids, but also the interest he took in his community. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we would adjourn this morning's session in his memory and his honor. John Hefner, great man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair, and I agree, you are doing great. You're a natural. So, thank you for your seriousness to the job. Your devotion is clear. And as you know, because you've been part of the county family for some time, we really take great strides to treat each other with dignity and love and respect. We have an incredible pause this morning to mourn the loss of a dear member of the county family. Our Madam Clerk manages the most impressive team of county family members who keep all of this going, keep it moving. I think we had one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest, operations during COVID. Thank you, Zach, for your comments in that regard. And really, in this particular instance, happens to be a group of ladies. But they are the caretakers of this county, and of course they are led by the fearless and unparalleled Kathy Kraus. But to the members of the public, we'd like to announce to you the very sad and tragic loss of a member of our county family, Christina Rockwell. She served in the clerk of the board's office for the past 17 years. More than you? Oh my goodness, I did not realize that. Wow. She has been promoted through, or having been promoted through, the deputy clerk ranks to assistant clerk of the board. She served the county of Kern for a quarter century, 25 years. Valiant and devoted service here, beginning in the probation department. So she had her fill of the many things that the county does. Christina had a true servant's heart, an incredibly positive attitude, an outstanding determination to overcome adversity, and an unparalleled work ethic that inspired everyone who knew her. To know her was to love her. I would ask that we adjourn today's meeting also, either this morning or this afternoon, in memory of the incredible, beautiful, and gracious Christina Rockwell. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. It's definitely a huge loss for the county, and she will definitely be missed. I just wanted to say a few things real quick. We had the pleasure of working for Supervisor Mick Gleason, my predecessor, who left me some big shoes to fill. But I've had the chance of working with him for a while and working with most of the people up here today. And you have all done such a phenomenal job running things and getting the county to where it's at today that it's really an honor to be a part of this effort. And it's difficult walking on as the new guy to a veteran rock star team that we've got up here, but definitely have learned a lot from you all, and I look forward to continuing to learn from you and work with you in the future. So thank you very much. Supervisor Couch, did you have any comments before we move along?
I'm good, thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Okay, having no more items to consider in open session, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to consider County Administrative Office items 36 and 37 and County Council items 38.
So moved.
Well, with that, we are adjourned in honor of John Hefner and Christina Rockwell.